of sending everybody back that is here illegally. Tell us where you stand on that.
We want to follow the laws. You know, we have very strong laws. We have very strong laws in this country. And I don't know if you know, but Bush and even Obama sends people back. Now, we can be more aggressive in that, but we want to follow the laws. If you start going around trying to make new laws in this country, it's a process that's brutal. We want to follow the laws of the country, and if we follow the laws, we can do what we have to do. But John, let me tell you, so important. We've got some great people in this country. They shouldn't be here. They're still great people, all right? But we've got some really, really bad gang members and some horrible people.
Start with them.
Those people are going out day one. They're going to be the first order I sign. They're going out day one.
All right, but I know this question has come up a lot. What about people that work hard, have been here a long time, they own homes, they have their property? And this is a question everyone's going to want answered. What about them? Do they have to go back, or would you reconsider?
We are going to follow the laws of the country.
So that means they go back.
Follow the laws. And we're going to see who people are. We're going to see how they've done. Do you believe in a merit system, Sean? When people come in, as an example, do you believe in a merit system? One of the things that's very unfair with leaving people is that you have years and years of people waiting online. They've gone through a process, and they filed legally. They filed, and they're great people in some cases. I guess in some cases, maybe not. But you have really great people wanting, and so proudly wanting, to come into a country. And now what you'd be doing is you'd take people away from that line. And it's really
Is there any part of the law that you might be able to change that would accommodate those people that contribute to society, have been law-abiding, have kids here? Would there be any room in your mind, or you, because I know you had a meeting this week with Hispanic leaders.
I did. I had a meeting with great people, great Hispanic leaders, and there certainly can be a softening, because we're not looking to hurt people. We want people. We have some great people in this country. We have some great people in this country. So, but we're going to follow the laws of this country. And you know, we have, what people don't realize, we have very strong laws.
Yeah, but
Nobody
Obama doesn't follow them.
No, they don't follow them. Yeah. But we're going to follow the laws.
We have 11.3 million illegal immigrants in the country now. Now, you said immediately last night, all criminal aliens out, day one. Correct? All right. Now,
by the way, that one's so simple. You know, there are some things where you sort of feel bad, and this one with we have these killers in this country.
Right.
They're heading up gangs. You go out exactly.
They lost their children right here behind you.
I mean, those guys, if we ever find them, if I'm president, oh, we're going to be trouble. Such trouble. To fix our immigration system, we must change our leadership in Washington, and we must change it quickly. Sadly, there is no other way. The truth is, our immigration system is worse than anybody ever realized. But the facts aren't known because the media won't report on them. The politicians won't talk about them. And the special interests spend a lot of money trying to cover them up because they are making an absolute fortune. That's the way it is. Today, on a very complicated and very difficult subject, you will get the truth. The fundamental problem with the immigration system in our country is that it serves the needs of wealthy donors, political activists, and powerful politicians. That's all you can do. Thank you. Thank you. Let me tell you who it does not serve. It does not serve you, the American people. Doesn't serve you. When politicians talk about immigration reform, they usually mean the following: amnesty, open borders, lower wages. Immigration reform should mean something else entirely. It should mean improvements to our laws and policies to make life better for American citizens. We will terminate the Obama administration's deadly, and it is deadly, non-enforcement policies that allow thousands of criminal aliens to freely roam our streets, walk around, do whatever they want to do, crime all over the place. That's over. That's over, folks. That's over. Since 2013 alone, the Obama administration has allowed 300,000 criminal aliens to return back into United States communities. These are individuals encountered or identified by ICE, but who were not detained or processed for deportation because it wouldn't have been politically correct. My plan also includes cooperating closely with local jurisdictions to remove criminal aliens immediately. We will restore the highly successful Secure Communities program, good program. We will expand and revitalize the popular 287G partnerships, which will help to identify hundreds of thousands of deportable aliens in local jails that we don't even know about. Both of these programs have been recklessly gutted by this administration, and those were programs that worked. This is yet one more area where we are headed in a totally opposite direction. There's no common sense, there's no brain power in our administration by our leader or our leaders. None, none, none. On my first day in office, I am also going to ask Congress to pass Kate's Law, named for Kate Steinle, to ensure that criminal aliens convicted of illegal reentry receive strong, mandatory minimum sentences. Strong. And then we get them out. Another reform I'm proposing is the passage of legislation named for Detective Michael Davis and Deputy Sheriff Danny Oliver, two law enforcement officers recently killed by a previously deported illegal immigrant. The Davis-Oliver bill will enhance cooperation with state and local authorities to ensure that criminal immigrants and terrorists are swiftly, really swiftly, identified and removed. And they will go fast. Believe me, they're going to go fast. We are going to triple the number of ICE deportation officers. Within ICE, I am going to create a new special deportation task force focused on identifying and quickly removing the most dangerous criminal illegal immigrants in America who have evaded justice, just like Hillary Clinton has evaded justice, okay? Our immigration, that is my policy on immigration, is so simple. We will restore the civil rights of African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and all Americans by ending illegal immigration. And yes, we will build the wall. We will build the wall. And we're going to stop the inflow, the massive inflow of drugs, which is coming into your community more than any community, but coming into your community and poisoning our youth and poisoning many other people, but poisoning our youth. I will reform visa rules to give American workers preference for jobs and I will suspend reckless refugee admissions from terror-prone regions that cost taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars.
And coming up next on the special edition of Hannity.
If we don't act, the damage will be irreversible. We're going to act. That is why we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare. We have no choice. We have no choice. We have absolutely no choice.
Now, recently news broke that Obamacare premiums will rise dramatically next year by double digits. Now, President-elect Trump promised Americans he would repeal and replace this dangerous law. That's coming up next as this special edition of Hannity continues.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Kelly Wright. Good evening. Here's what's happening. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe meets with President Obama tomorrow at the USS Arizona Memorial. Abe will be the first Japanese prime minister to visit the memorial, but a government spokesman says he won't apologize for Japan's December 7th, 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor. Earlier today, Abe laid flowers at a cemetery for Japanese immigrants in Honolulu. Abe's visit to Hawaii comes 6 months after Mr. Obama became the first sitting U.S. president to visit Hiroshima. The Philippines is cleaning up from a powerful typhoon that slammed the northern part of the country. Typhoon Nocten killed at least 6 people. More than 380,000 people were forced to celebrate Christmas in emergency shelters. 5 provinces remain without power. I'm Kelly Wright. Back now to Hannity.
And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Trump's promises. Now, during the campaign, President-elect Trump, he vowed that he would repeal and replace Obamacare, but how exactly will he get that done? Here's what he said. You made a promise to release the names so people would know your judicial philosophy.
Right.
You're making a promise to balance the budget. You're making a promise to build the wall. You made a promise you're going to repeal Obamacare
100%.
and replace it with?
No choice.
Replace it
By
with?
the way, you don't even have to repeal it. We're going to do it before it happens.
It's falling
in
on its own
17,
weight.
it's going to implode. And in fact, on November 1st, new numbers are coming out, right before the election. They're trying to change the date. They want to make it after the election. And it's going to show the increase necessary to sustain Obamacare. And it's going to be massive. Everyone's talking about it.
Are these promises?
Don't let anybody change that date.
And you want to replace it with health savings accounts, maybe?
Yes, but there's so many other things. Just so you understand,
Yeah.
once we get competition going with free enterprise, where the insurance companies actually have to go and compete instead of having states as a monopoly, you get rid of the borders, you get rid of the lines, right, where they can't go outside. Once we get rid of that, and they almost had it this time, they could have had it this time, and you would have seen such competition, there will be plans, healthcare plans, that you never even heard about, that haven't even been thought about right now. There will be such competition. It'll be a beautiful thing. The numbers will go way down. First of all, Obamacare is no good. The premiums are through the roof. But have you looked at deductibles lately?
It's huge.
Unless you're
5,000,
dead, unless you're
10,000.
dead or in the process of almost death, you can't use them.
What I'm trying to get to is, with the release of these names, that was a big promise. Balancing a budget is a big promise. Building a wall is a big promise. Repealing Obamacare is a big promise. I understand you're giving a speech next week on energy independence.
Right.
That's a big promise.
In North Dakota.
Building our military, taking care of our vets, those are big promises. Ending Common Core. So my question is, on those agenda items that you have told me about in our interviews, how rock solid are those promises for the people that may be on the fence, that want to know you're going to do those things?
I want to get it all done.
You want to get it all done?
Our military, I saw a show the other day where our fighter planes are so old that they go to junkyards to get parts. They call them graveyard, airplane graveyards, to take parts off old planes that haven't been flown in 25 years. They're taking parts off these planes and trying to put them on and fix them on our fighter jets. We are really in trouble.
Let's talk about Obamacare. You've talked about eliminating it, talked about portability, pre-existing conditions, and health care savings accounts. Do you believe health care savings accounts is the antidote?
Well, I think it's one of them. I think it's a great alternative. They work. They're fabulous. You can move. You can do whatever you want to do. Everybody wants them. You'll save money. You'll have much better plans. I mean, look at what's going on with Obamacare. The rates are going through the roof. Deductibles, I mean, you won't even get to use it unless you have a real big, long-lasting problem. No, it's certainly one method, and there are many, by the way, Sean. You know, I know you always mention that, but there are many methods. Yeah. But they'll all be better. And you don't have to be limited to one or two. We can use other methods. But people will be paying a lot less money. Sean, they'll be paying a lot less money for a lot better care. I will ask Congress to convene a special session so we can repeal and replace. And it will be such an honor for me, for you, and for everybody in this country, because Obamacare has to be replaced. And we will do it, and we will do it very, very quickly. It is a catastrophe. The president said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, which may go down as one of the great political lies of the century. Even the skeptical Democrats believed him and approved the legislation. There were Democrats that were very much against it, but they believed him and they approved it. No one ever read, or certainly very few people, the 2,700-page bill. To this day, nobody understands it. The Obama administration has just announced massive double-digit and triple-digit Obamacare premium hikes everywhere, all throughout the country. Here in Pennsylvania, premiums are going to increase more than 60%. And that's nothing compared to what will happen in the future. Of course, in the future, if I'm president, there won't be Obamacare, so you won't have to worry about it. That means parents won't have enough money to pay their bills or get medicine for their kids. In the great state of Arizona, a wonderful place I just left, premiums will go up even higher than 116%. Other states are going up more than 60, 70, 80, 90%. Deductibles can go to $12,000, $13,000, $14,000, even $15,000. In other words, your health care won't even be usable. You're paying all this money, you won't even get to use it. People all across the country are devastated. In many instances, their health care costs are more than their mortgage costs or their rent, which, by the way, is a first in American history. This is particularly unfair to millennials and younger Americans generally, who will be totally crushed by these massive health care costs before they even get started on their journey through life. 1/3 of the counties, think of this, 1/3 of the counties in Pennsylvania will have only a single insurance company left, if you have that. That includes Philadelphia, where I went to school. The Associated Press found that some of the 440,000 Pennsylvania consumers who buy insurance through healthcare.gov will face some of the highest premium increases in the nation. People of Philadelphia. Insurers are leaving, premiums are soaring, doctors are quitting, companies are fleeing, and deductibles go through the roof. Workers' hours are being cut, hiring is frozen, totally frozen, and wages are being slashed. Obamacare means higher prices, fewer choices, and lower quality. Our replacement plan includes health savings accounts, a nationwide insurance market where you can purchase across state lines, and letting states manage Medicaid dollars. So much better. We will create quality, reliable, affordable health care in a free market where parents can make the health care decisions that they really want to make for their families. It will be a much better health care at a much less expensive cost. I've led a great life, and I truly love our country. So now I want to give back to the country that's been so good to me. That's why I'm doing this. All I see everywhere I travel in this nation, and I've been everywhere, is untapped potential waiting to be realized. The people are amazing. The people are amazing. If we unlock the potential of this country and its incredible people, no dream is outside of our reach. If we stop believing in our failed politicians and start believing in ourselves, then anything is possible. I'm asking you to dream big, to push for bold change, and to believe in a movement powered by our love for each other and our love for our country. That is how we will truly make America great again. Thank you.
And up next, right here on the special edition of Hannity.
My number one priority is to dismantle the disastrous deal with Iran. I know deal making, and let me tell you, this deal is catastrophic for America, for Israel, and for the whole of the Middle East.
Donald Trump, he did not mince words on the campaign trail about some of President Obama's foreign policy failures. So what will Donald Trump do once he's inaugurated in January? That and more on the special edition of Hannity. Trump's Promises continues. And welcome back to Hannity. So during the campaign, President-elect Trump, he talked often about President Obama's foreign policy failures and what he would do differently if he was the commander-in-chief. Now, here's what Trump promised you, the American voter, that he would do.
I'd like to talk today about how to develop a new foreign policy direction for our country, one that replaces randomness with purpose, ideology with strategy, and chaos with peace. It's time to shake the rust off America's foreign policy. It's time to invite new voices and new visions into the fold, something we have to do. The direction I will outline today will also return us to a timeless principle. My foreign policy will always put the interests of the American people and American security above all else. Has to be first. Has to be. That will be the foundation of every single decision that I will make. America, thank you. America first will be the major and overriding theme of my administration. But to chart our path forward, we must first briefly take a look back. We have a lot to be proud of. In the 1940s, we saved the world. The greatest generation beat back the Nazis and Japanese imperialists. Then we saved the world again, this time from totalitarianism and communism. The Cold War, it lasted for decades, but guess what? We won, and we won big. Democrats and Republicans working together got Mr. Gorbachev to heed the words of President Reagan, our great president, when he said, "Tear down this wall." History will not forget what he did. Very special man and president. Unfortunately, after the Cold War, our foreign policy veered badly off course. We failed to develop a new vision for a new time. In fact, as time went on, our foreign policy began to make less and less sense. Logic was replaced with foolishness and arrogance, which led to one foreign policy disaster after another. They just kept coming and coming. We went from mistakes in Iraq to Egypt to Libya to President Obama's line in the sand in Syria. Each of these actions have helped to throw the region into chaos and gave ISIS the space it needs to grow and prosper. Very bad. It all began with the dangerous idea that we could make Western democracies out of countries that had no experience or interest in becoming a Western democracy. We tore up what institutions they had, and then were surprised at what we unleashed. Civil war, religious fanaticism, thousands of Americans and just killed, lives wasted, horribly wasted. Many trillions of dollars were lost as a result. The vacuum was created that ISIS would fill. Iran, too, would rush in and fill that void, much to their really unjust enrichment. They have benefited so much, so sadly for us. Our foreign policy is a complete and total disaster. The situation is likely worse than the public has any idea. A new congressional report reveals that the administration has downplayed the growth of ISIS, with 40% of analysts saying they had experienced efforts to manipulate their findings. They're trying to make it look much better than it is. It's bad. At the same time, ISIS is trying to infiltrate refugee flows into Europe and to the United States. Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, is now flush with $150 billion in cash released by the United States. Plus, if you remember from 2 weeks ago, another $400 million in actual cash that was obviously used for ransom. Worst of all, the nuclear deal puts Iran, the #1 state sponsor of radical Islamic terrorism, on a path to nuclear weapons. In short, the Obama-Clinton foreign policy has unleashed ISIS, destabilized the Middle East, and put the nation of Iran, which chants death to America, in a dominant position of regional power and, in fact, aspiring to be a dominant world power. This is my pledge to the American people. As your president, I will be your single greatest champion. I will fight to ensure that every American is treated equally, protected equally, and honored equally. We will reject bigotry and hatred and oppression in all of its many ugly forms and seek a new future built on our common culture and values as one American people. Only this way will we make America great again and safe again for everyone. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
And up next, right here on Hannity.
And appoint justices of the United States Supreme Court who will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States.
President-elect Trump, he promised that he would appoint originalist justices to the Supreme Court. It was a topic we spoke about often. That's coming up next as the special edition of Hannity, Trump's Promises, continues.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Kelly Wright. Good evening. Here's what's happening. Blowing and drifting snow closing roads for a second straight day in North Dakota. Interstate 94 is closed across nearly the entire state. State highway officials warn dangerous driving conditions exist with near zero visibility on slippery roads. Icy road conditions also exist in South Dakota. The storm also causing widespread power outages in the Dakotas, Nebraska, and western Iowa. A national day of mourning in Russia for the 92 victims on board the military plane that crashed into the Black Sea Sunday. The victims included the entire Alexandrov Ensemble, a renowned Russian army choir. Flags are flying at half-staff throughout Moscow. Floral tributes are everywhere, like this one outside the choir's office in Russia's state capital. Meantime, the search continues for more victims. I'm Kelly Wright. Back to Hannity.
And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Trump's Promises. Now, during the campaign, Donald Trump said he would appoint originalist justices to the Supreme Court, people like Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas, who actually believe in the Constitution, co-equal branches of government, and separation of powers. Now, the president-elect even released a list of people that he would choose from. So here's what he said. Today was a very big day. You have a list of names.
I do.
And you had talked to me for a while now about releasing these names. Your judicial philosophy. You said you wanted originalists. You said you wanted people like Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court.
It's true.
Tell us about this list of names.
Well, I've been having a lot of feedback from a lot of different people, and I've had, as you know, tremendous endorsements, and I'm a conservative, and I may have different views on different things, and I think I'm extremely conservative, as an example, on trade. But a conservative would say I'm not, because I don't necessarily believe only in free trade. You know what I believe on trade is good deals for the United States.
Fair trade.
Well, somebody said to me, what is your view on trade? I said, my view is good deals for the United States. It's a very simple view. And if you can call it conservative, call it whatever you want. But so with the judges, they were saying, well, what happens if he appoints the wrong judges? And what we did, and I just have it, we just took a list of judges, and yeah. I thought what I would do is put this forward, and this would be the list that I would either choose from or pick people very close in terms of the spirit and the meaning of what they represent. And, of course, Justice Scalia is mentioned in here as right up front as being just one of our great judges and one of our great justices.
This is your judicial philosophy.
Yes, that's right.
You know, one of the things I think people would question, I had interviewed you a lot during this process, and you gave me very specific things. And one of the top things I would ask you often is your judicial philosophy. And you mentioned, as I said, Scalia and Thomas. They are what we call originalists,
right.
Constitutionalists.
Correct.
You are a constitutionalist.
Correct. And I'm also, I want high intellect. I want great intellect. These people are all of very high intellect. They're pro-life. And so that's my list. And we are going to choose from, most likely from this list, but at a minimum, we will keep people within this general realm. And again, I have a lot of people that are conservative that really like me, love everything I stand for, but they really would like to know my view, because perhaps outside of the defense of our country, perhaps the single most important thing the next president is going to have to do is pick Supreme Court justices.
This will have an impact for generations to come.
Oh, generations. And I would say, if Hillary Clinton, who is doing very poorly in this whole rigged system that Sanders happens to be in. Yeah. But if Hillary Clinton, for some reason, wins, your country will never be the same, because she's going to put disasters on the Supreme Court. So these are the names.
This is interesting, because I think there might have been some people. I've talked to people on the radio show, and some people said, well, Donald Trump's a recent convert to conservatism. And I asked you very specific questions. For example, you know, you say you want a balanced budget. You actually told me once it's immoral to steal from our kids.
Well, I do want a balanced budget, and we could do it a lot quicker. I mean, I've heard people say we'll balance the budget within 20 years. I'm saying 20 years? What are you talking about? I do want a balanced budget. And you have to understand, I was born in New York, and I really started my business, you know, I was in Brooklyn and Queens with my father, but I moved to Manhattan, and I started doing very, very well in Manhattan. And if you look at the statistics on Manhattan, whether you like them or don't like them, it's very liberal, it's very Democrat, and I think that, you know, probably a lot of people feel because I come from essentially Manhattan, I would be that way. And I wanted to put this list out because I wanted to quell any fears that people may have. I mean, this is a list of people that I got them from people I most respect.
And you vetted each one. You almost did it like a job interview.
Well, I vetted, but to a much greater extent, the Federalist Society vetted and has tremendous respect. Heritage has looked at it, who I have great respect for. And I know Senator Sessions has brought the names around to different people in the Senate, and people have seen the list.
And up next, right here on the special edition of Hannity.
Ethics reform will be a crucial part of our 100-day plan as well. We're going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. You will see.
President-elect Trump, he promised voters he would drain the swamp in Washington. So how will he do it? That's next as this special edition of Hannity, Trump's Promises, continues. And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Trump's Promises. So during the campaign, President-elect Trump, he vowed that if elected, he would drain the swamp in Washington. In his contract with the American voter, Trump promised that he would propose an amendment that would put term limits on members of Congress and that he would reduce the influence of special interests. Here's what he said about this topic.
Sean, you have seen things, and I've seen things, and I've been going through things. Nobody could imagine that this could happen in the United States. Nobody can even imagine it. But I'll tell you what, we're going to win the election, and we're going to clean out the swamp. You know, I'm using the expression, we're going to drain the swamp of Washington, D.C. It is a swamp of absolute corruption. It's absolutely corrupt. And we're going to drain the swamp. We'll see what happens. We're going to drain it, but we're going to win. We have such enthusiasm. And you saw what I just left this rally 2 minutes ago. In fact, I'm sitting in a room that's about 200 degrees. I've never seen it. It's like a steam room.
I know you love that.
And no, it's just wonderful. But I'll tell you what, at least you're on the side of exposing some of this stuff. The press doesn't want to do it. It's incredible what's going on in the country.
Ethics reform will be a crucial part of our 100-day plan as well. We're going to drain the swamp of corruption in Washington, D.C. Drain the swamp. Thank you. I will impose a 5-year ban on executive branch officials becoming lobbyists and a lifetime ban on officials becoming lobbyists for a foreign government. Change is not going to be easy. I am going to need you to fight as hard for these proposals as you fought for this great campaign of ours. We are going to need our government and this movement to be more engaged and more vigilant than ever before to help us accomplish the reforms and overcome decades of stalemate and gridlock. We're going to get it done, folks. Now that you put me in this position, even if you don't help me one bit, I'm going to get it done. Believe me, don't worry about it. Be easier if you help, but that's all right. Don't worry, I'll get it done. Importantly, we are all going to have open arms, and we're going to invite everyone from all political persuasions to join our movement to help us achieve our goals for this country. Great schools, safe neighborhoods, a thriving economy, and a government that answers only to the people, our people. We are going to have to dig deep, and I know you and I and all of the people working with us are up to the task. There are a lot of people working with us. Every single day, you will be the agents of change. Change for our country, but good change, great change. Americans must ignore the pessimists and embrace the optimism that has always been the central ingredient of the American character. We are the nation that won 2 world wars, that dug out the Panama Canal, that put a man on the moon and satellites all over space. But somewhere along the way, we started thinking small. I'm asking you to dream big again. And bold and daring things for your country will happen once again. I'm asking you to join me in this next chapter of this unbelievable and unprecedented movement as we work toward prosperity at home, peace abroad, and new frontiers in science, technology, and space. I am asking you to... Is that right? Yeah. I love this guy. He's a believer. You are a believer, right? He's a believer. I'm asking you to believe in America once again. We have many challenges, but this is truly an exciting time to be alive. There's been no time like it. The script is not yet written. We do not know what the next page will read. But I'll tell you, it's going to be a great page. But for the first time in a long time, what we do know is that the pages will be authored by each one of you. Each one of you.
And coming up, more of the special edition of Hannity right after this quick break. And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have left this evening. As always, thank you for being with us. We hope you'll set your DVR so you never miss an episode of Hannity. Have a great night.
Special edition of the O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
Jesse Waters and the folks.